why does all the music sound the same? It's because the music is now. What's up, everybody? I'm Zap, and this is Jericho, and you are now tuned into the Life's a Circus podcast, where we talk about everything that is funny, interesting, and ridiculous. And today, we're talking about something crazy because there are two people. It's two things. Oh, you see it already. All right. Two people who control almost 40% of the music industry. We're going to talk about who those two people are. We're going to talk about their different approaches to music and what makes them successful. And you want to stick around to the end because we finally figured it out. I finally figured it out, Jericho, why music sounds the same now.
Okay.
I figured it out. Okay. And it's not what you think it is. So make sure you stick around to the end to find that out. But before we jump into it, do us a huge favor. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because that helps us grow. We really need that. And while you're down there below the video, hit that like button because that lets YouTube know to send this video to more people. All right? So boom. Intro done. Jericho.
That's it done.
I told you about this topic. It's two people who have control over almost 40% of the music industry. Do you have any idea who those two people might be, just off the top of your head?
I'm not kidding. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them is Elon Musk, but only because he's just, our buddy and everything. I have looked at interviews from people like Russ, the singer Russ was talking about. He actually had an interview talking about like four people that he points the finger at. It's like, if you know these people, then you're good.
There's no room for me to not be right.
But as far as who they are, I don't know their names, but I think I would assume they're associated with big time distribution and streaming services.
We're not even getting a penny a stream, so that's just slavery, bro.
They're tied to the streaming services, but they are the heads of major record labels.
Okay.
So I'm talking about Lucian Grange, who is the CEO of Universal Music Group. Universal Music Group brings you artists like Taylor Swift, Drake, The Weeknd, the biggest names in music, right? And his son, Elliot Grange, was promoted to the CEO of Atlantic Records at the ripe old age of 30. Hashtag, what are we doing with our lives?
These guys are hilarious. They do so much funny stuff.
Atlantic Records is under Warner, I believe. I believe it's Warner. No, wait a minute. Yes, Warner. So that's Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, Charlie XCX, just some little people you might have heard of.
Sounds like the heavy hitters, bro. The heavy hitters.
Now I remember, like, in music industry, there were four major record labels that they always talked about. This is like almost 20 years ago. And so, but even before then, there were a lot more, and they consolidated to that point.
Right.
And so now it's basically three. It's Universal Music Group, Warner, and Sony. So those are like the three major labels that just most of the major artists that you hear of. That's about half of the industry comes from those three companies. So it's crazy to have two people of the same family control 2/3 of that.
No, right. And I didn't even heard of these. These people have been laying in the wings for a long time.
That's the other part of it. Like, there's the people the names that you know, and then there's all these people behind the scenes that are like, have so much influence and so much control over like the music, the mainstream music that you hear.
You want to be a star, don't you?
So you have Universal Music Group, or UMG, and then you have Warner, which is Atlantic, is under them. So those two guys, between the value of UMG and the value of Atlantic, how much is under their control financially? Basically, like, what do you think are the worth of those two entities?
Oh,
UMG
God.
and Atlantic.
Okay. And I'll make a, maybe this is related.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
I watched a video about companies that buy like artists' catalogs, and it's become a thing recently, especially since the pandemic. So they're shelling out hundreds of millions to individuals. So I would guess it has to be in the neighborhood of, you're talking about like annually or what?
Just the worth of the company. How much is it worth?
20 billion.
That's not bad.
Okay.
Those companies combined are worth a whopping $50 billion. Good Lord, that's a lot of money. What's even more interesting about that is that as a father-son kind of duo, they have two different approaches to the industry. So obviously the father is more old school, and the son is like more new school. And then you hear all these things about like Nepo babies and stuff like that. Like, was he just handed the keys to, whatever? And then, maybe I'm sure it has some kind of influence, but it seems like his son, Elliot, really had his own strategy for doing things.
Hey, clean up my driveway. It's a mess.
Yo, you too old for this. What's going on, bruh? Come on.
Lucian's like more old school. What do you think of like the music industry? Like some guy is like, hey kid, let me point you to this A&R, or that kid's got what it takes, or I know this guy at this place who knows this guy, like that style of like music industry.
I mean, his name sounds like a super villain.
Yeah. Yeah. But his son is totally different. So what his son did, and you're gonna love this because his son is responsible for bringing you one of your favorite artists.
I knew it. So
he's
not invited. He's not welcome. He's not welcome.
Elliot's approach was all data and analytics.
Okay.
Which is crazy, but it makes sense for the modern times. So basically what he was doing is using data from the internet to go and find artists on like SoundCloud, all these streaming platforms before they really blew up, and then signed them and then blew them up because something in the data or the analytics or whatever they were doing showed that they would probably be successful. So Elliot had his own record label called 10K Projects. And that record label was responsible for bringing people like Trippie Redd onto the scene, Ian Dior, and your personal favorite, Ice Spice.
It just sounds so fucking bad to me, this music.
Oh, thank you.
I see the enthusiasm just bubbling over.
She has so many copycats. It's crazy. Like I recognize she's influential. To give her flowers, I suppose. She's got a whole generation of girls that look just like her. They talk like her. They rap just like her badly. And they are just clones of this thing. So I think if you want to give credit to someone for being unique, I think that's where she fits, and then marketable, and she shows her butt a lot. So that helps.
So here's a question though. And a thing that kind of doesn't make sense, and it still didn't really make sense to me until I started like looking up all this stuff, is right. The whole streaming thing came along early 2000s, Apple, Spotify, people were stealing Napster music, all that kind of stuff. Music just was going down until about 2014, and then it started going up. And now the global music market, whatever you call that, is at record highs. Yet artists complain about there not really being money at all in music still.
Yes,
and not there being money, but it getting worse.
Streaming is cool, but it's just, you got to do so many streams to get some money. It's ridiculous.
So basically revenue is up, but artists are broke. There's a bunch of reasons for that. And do you have any assumptions or hypotheses, I guess, as to why that's happening?
I want to go Elon Musk again for 2000.
I'm just living the meme. It's like there's living the dream and there's living the meme, and it's pretty much what's happening,
Okay, why would money be up, but the artist not be getting so much from it?
Well, I'm thinking, and I saw this on the Joe Budden podcast recently, where he was talking about, like, as far as rap goes, how it hasn't been, the breadwinner it used to be in the music industry, but there's still like the 7 big names. And what I surmise from that is that everyone's putting money into the big artists, and that's it. So the top of the heap, the Taylor Swifts of the world are still killing it and whatever. But everyone else, even though they're pretty good or pretty established, are still really struggling to make a lot of money, which I think also ties into why people are willing to sell their catalogs. Because if someone's offering them money, and let me take this money now instead of taking a chance on not making it in the future or something like that. So I would say because it's so maybe top heavy, then that's why most of the artists still aren't really getting the money, even though people are paying money to see the big names, but everyone else is kind of in the middle, isn't getting the trickle down, perhaps.
That's a great answer. That's good.
I think that's part of it, but it's kind of on steroids because you see that in pretty much every other business, like from acting to like technology. There's Google and Apple and Meta, and then there's everybody else. There's a bunch of other companies down there, but for some reason there's a big concentration it's always like a pyramid, like a big concentration at the top, and then there's always other little things. But I think it's more exaggerated in music, just because this is kind of one of my first reasons of the saturation, that there are so many artists now, and it's the double-edged sword of this technology where it's easier to make music, easier to become an artist, and then so there's now people flooding the market with just artists, so many artists, but there's only so much money to go around. So I'm talking to the tune of 100,000 songs uploaded daily to Spotify. Oh! And then you put out your song and you're like, hope it works.
Lost in the shuffle. Yeah.
Right. So even if you have good content, and if you're like a really good artist, the only way to cut through that much noise is money. And then, so like you said, the major artists will put more into their major artists who are more likely to, and so they'll put more money into them to have them cut through and all this kind of stuff.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The other reason is just the concept of like who's getting a piece of the pie, right? You have the big platforms, Apple Music, Spotify Music, they're getting a percentage. Major record labels, they're getting their percentage. And then after that, like the artist is left with like 10 to 20% on the deal, maybe even less. So just the whole structure. And then again, think about it. There's no, I won't say there's no competition, but compare the competition of major labels and streaming platforms to the competition of artists, right? So that there's, even though you're getting a piece of the pie, you're getting less and less and less because there's like 10,000 new artists this year.
Right.
And all that money has to be split among you, right? So it's crazy. Another random thing is that the subscription price hasn't really changed much. Like it's been, I don't even know what it is now, but I think it's been $9.99 for like so long, like $9.99 a month.
Around there, yeah.
When we've seen other things like go crazy from inflation, but it's kind of, you kind of think, do people not? I mean, these are big companies. They're not just keeping the price low. Because I feel like if they could charge more, they would. But maybe people don't want to pay more than $9.99 for music. You know, maybe it's like the psychology of music. Is music worth more than, this $9.99 a month that they're paying for everything?
I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that.
I can imagine they research this kind of stuff and they calculate where they could cut corners, if you will, or let's see, cutting corners. But yeah, $9.99 at the detriment of the artist, because let's say the platforms are still growing. I would imagine that people are still submitting music, so there's still that allure. And when I talk to people that are artists and they're talking about they're going to do their next whatever, a good friend of mine is just doing her whole album, which hasn't been a thing that's been working recently, but maybe it'll change. They still want that. And so I think they figured out the perfect way to just kind of still keep dangling the carrot. Like, well, you could get to Sabrina Carpenter level. Chappelle Roan, she broke. She was, and I don't know who does this, but they do a really good job of marketing the people that had nothing 4 years ago. Doechii, for example. 4 years ago, they were just, submitting posts about how sad they were and they weren't making anything. And now they're winning Grammys and stuff. This could be you. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to pay attention to the fact that I might not get any money through that $9.99 thing or whatever, because I hope to be the exception to the rule. And they keep selling that, it's possible. It could be you. The message that Doechii said to all the women who were watching, when she won the Grammy. It's like, yeah, black girls, whatever, you can do anything. So they all like, yeah, we can. And most of you will not. And that's just not being mean. It's just how life works. But the idea that you can still try is appealing.
What can't you do? I can do it.
That's a good segue, because if you have that dream out there of like, I'm going to be the next whatever, win this next Grammy, do this, there's starting to become a formula for how to do that. And that kind of tying this all together, that's how influential the technology is, and people like Elliot Grange and their approach to promoting music. So the technology aspect, this is, and again, paying off the teaser from the beginning, why does all the music sound the same? It's because the music is now data driven. Huh? And data, data favors familiarity.
I still don't get it.
As you listen to a song, you know, the algorithm is figuring out what you like, what you don't like, what you click on, how long did you listen to it. All this data is being collected. And so once you listen to a song and click on a picture or whatever, they're like, oh, he likes that, she likes that. Let's send them more of that.
Right.
And so everything sounds the same because you clicked on it.
No!
It's your fault.
No!
Sexy Red is your fault. You caused this.
No! God, please, no!
I am very mad about that one, actually. I will stand by with the Sir Zap on this one. It's all of your fault. The sexy red. It is all of your fault.
Oh, I get it.
It feels like no one likes anything new. They want the same thing. And I feel like the people are blaming the record company. Oh, this is another plant. They're just trying to destroy the community. I'm like, well, you know, to see it from the business side, like, forget the music, forget whatever. Everyone's trying to make money. How do you make money? You give people what they want. What do people want? They want the same thing.
Yeah. You mentioned that one song that Bruno Mars came up with that girl that you're like, Bruno Mars, I thought he did better than that. Pata. It's the Hey Mickey, you're so fun. It's the same thing. It's the Shake It Off, Taylor Swift. It's the same thing that's worked for 50 years. The same beat, the same everything, the same cadence, and people buy it. So of course they're going to keep making it.
Ding, 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 ding. That little bitty change. It's not the same.
Just a little bit deeper as far as like how the technology influences things. I found like 3 different areas as we ended here. So one thing with the focus on technology and the data, it leans the music more into trends. So people make music for trends. It cuts out the creativity and diversity. So people like Lil Nas, love him or hate him, you know, he did Old Town Road, and then his next big video, he came down a stripper pole and started twerking on the devil. Like,
I have still not
seen. It's music for virality. It's viral. They're trying to get viral so they can get, you know, as many clicks as possible, make as much money as possible. Even, you know what's crazy? I still feel weird about this is the Kendrick Lamar Drake thing. Because this is what check it. This is what else I found.
Hey Vanilla, look what I found.
Kendrick Lamar has a distribution deal with Interscope. And Interscope is under UMG, the same label that Drake is on.
Sure.
So do they have a beef? Maybe, but are like they're not like us. You cannot go anywhere without hearing that song.
True.
Like there's something in there to where like we're going even if they didn't create the beef, they're like, we're going to capitalize on this beef between these guys, and it's going to make a lot of money. And everyone, because I mean, it's like the car wreck on the freeway. Everyone's going to stop and watch.
It's like following another trend. Like rap beef's always been successful.
Yeah,
it's always generated things. So it's like, let's make another. Why not make one of the biggest ones of the modern era, and do it at the Super Bowl? Why not?
Yeah. So I mean, it's all tied together. So that's why we have the songs sound the same. That's why we have shorter songs, because Spotify doesn't pay by the minute; they pay by the song. So I think if it's at least 30 seconds, you get paid for that song every time someone clicks on it. So instead of like 4 or 5 minute songs, you now have 2 to 3 minute songs, and that's it. Right. So it explains like a lot of where the music is today.
I'm serious though. You think I'm joking? I'm serious.
It's a double-edged sword, right? On one hand, it's especially for me, like the technology is amazing. We can create, people are making albums in their bedrooms and winning Grammys for them. Like it's so much easier to do things.
Right.
But on the flip side, it's so much harder to like become a really long-term artist, have sustaining financial success, career success. So I don't know. But that's all the time that we have for today. Let us know where you stand. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Did you know about this Grange family, how much they control? Is Sexy Red your favorite artist? Are you an Ice Spice fan? Is Kendrick Lamar and Drake fake beef so to make lots of money? I don't know. I don't know your life.
I don't know either. Wait, not Elliot, but what's the dad's name?
Lucian.
What if you said it with a lisp? So now you can't unhear it. You're welcome.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that share button, share with 2 people that might find this interesting, and leave a comment. We don't know what you think. This isn't the end. We want to keep the conversation going. Let us know what you think in the comments. And musicians, I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, if musicians are struggling, they usually have like they drive for Uber, or they work at some place, a day job, something else that they do.
Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's man, with the technology and everything, it's looking pretty tough for music. So you might not want to lose your job. You might not want to lose your job doing technology. Everybody wants to be viral on Lucian Grange.
Mustard!
They took our jobs.